we need to say goodbye.
Brock Long from FEMA. Let's listen.
Major hurricanes cause large losses of life and the most amount of destruction that hurricanes can bring forward. So, unfortunately, the window to evacuate is coming to a close. If it hasn't already done so for many of the citizens that are in Florida. If you failed to heed a warning for any reason, your goal should be to elevate as high as you can and get into a facility that you think can withstand the winds at this point and hope for the best. You always have the option of calling 911, but there's no guarantee that responders can get to you at this point, as the system, continues to push through. What I mean by the storm being the type, the worst type, not only are we going to see devastating storm surge push through Florida, which causes the most amount of destruction to facilities along the coast, but the high winds as well. The Florida Building Code of 2001 went up to basically Cat 3 standards, so anything built after 2001 is designed to really handle Cat 3 and not much more after that. So we're going to see a lot of wind damage. And particularly the buildings that were built before 2001, you're going to see a lot of wind damage as this storm brings 145-mile-an-hour winds inland. The other thing is that the citizens in Georgia need to wake up and pay attention. Bottom line is this is going to be the worst storm that southwest Georgia and central Georgia has seen in many, many decades, if not the worst storm that the state has seen, and it's going to pass through and impact numerous counties. High winds are going to impact the vegetation that's there, bringing down trees, bringing down power lines with them, and they need to be prepared. Not only Florida, but also Georgia needs to be prepared to see the power off for multiple weeks as this system pushes through. Another unfortunate aspect is the rainfall that's going to be associated with this storm as it pushes through South and North Carolina. Hopefully the forward speed of the storm will reduce the amount of rainfall that South Carolina and North Carolina sees, but as you all know, Florence passed through. The Cape Fear River and other river basins have yet to recede back to normal river levels, and any amount of rainfall through South and North Carolina is not welcomed. But unfortunately, it's going to be a reality, and it's going to cause problems as it pushes through as well. So right now, FEMA has nearly 3,000 people in the field. That doesn't include all of our federal partners that are there. We're doing everything that we can to pre-position not only incident management teams and disaster medical teams, but also rotary aircraft ready to go to support search and rescue missions. We have search and rescue teams staged to be able to move into Florida and to the areas highly impacted in Florida, but also Georgia as well. In regards to commodities, the state of Florida has strong capability that we're working hand in hand with right now. They have staging and distribution capability in Orlando. We've staged commodities and teams in Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama as well as Atlanta, ready to move in as soon as we can do so and push through. The great communication, just got off the phone with Governor Scott. The governor is leaning forward, doing everything that he can to position the state to be able to help his citizens. Last night, they made a very good move by using the wireless emergency alert system to let people know that this storm is getting stronger and stronger, and you need to leave. This is the final call for anybody that needs to get out. Try to do so. Those who stick around to experience storm surge don't typically live to tell about it, unfortunately. And with that, again, I want to reiterate, it's a whole community effort, not only the response part, but the recovery. It's going to take neighbor helping neighbor, citizens getting involved that haven't been impacted, donating their time and their money to help citizens recover all the way up to the federal government. So we ask you always to download the FEMA app. Go to disasterassistance.gov if you're, receive impacts from the storm. And then also go to nvoad.org, nvoad.org, if you're looking to volunteer and help those in need. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to our friends over at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Ken, come on.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And Michael did strengthen overnight to Category 4, 145-mile-an-hour winds. It's important to not focus just on the core of the storm. This is a huge storm. We're looking at a 200-mile wind spread from the center. So tropical storm force winds will be pulling out into portions of Alabama, even into portions of central Florida. And this is going to be a devastating storm, possibly historical. We're looking at storm surge flooding of 9 to 14 feet. And that's going to impact the areas. Fortunately, though, high tide will be occurring late tonight, but water at that level will push a lot of inundation into the coastal communities in Florida. And then once the storm passes to the north, we're looking at hurricane-force winds getting up into portions of Georgia. There's likely going to be widespread power outages, downed trees, power lines, and structural damage, and the threat for tornadoes along the track of Michael. As we get into Thursday and into Friday, the heavy rain threat pushes into the Carolinas. We're looking at 9 rivers specifically that were impacted from Florence are likely to see additional flooding. Fortunately, this is not expected to stall. It will be moving quickly offshore, so any flooding that does occur should be short-lived. And then Michael will be pulling out to sea by this weekend. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ken. Next, we have Captain Kaylee Benson with our partners over at the U.S. Coast Guard.
Good morning. We urge everyone in the path of Hurricane Michael to stay off the water, stay off the beaches, and heed all safety messages and evacuation orders from state and local authorities. Coast Guard is working in close coordination with our federal, state, and local partners to prepare for the arrival of the hurricane. And rest assured, captains of the port throughout all of the expected impacted areas and their teams have been working in close coordination with their respective maritime sectors in order to safely manage maritime operations and control the flow of cargo and supplies into each of the affected states in advance of the storm. And we are closing ports to vessel traffic and cargo operations as is necessary and based on the storm's movement. So as of this moment, Panama City, Pensacola, and Cedar Key are closed to commercial vessel traffic. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Captain. Next, Ray Alexander with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Thank you, Administrator Long. Good morning. Ray Alexander, Army Corps. The Corps of Engineers is fully integrated with the federal response and our fellow federal partners and our state and local stakeholders as well. Currently, we're in support of 3 FEMA mission assignments valued at over $1.4 million and another over $140,000 of our own flood control authorities. Brigadier General Diana Holland, the Commanding General for our South Atlantic Division, headquartered in Atlanta. She has the lead for the fight. She'll be at FEMA Region 4 today. Our district headquarters in Wilmington, Jacksonville, Savannah, and Mobile have activated, and those district commanders are out and about pre-storm. We have key leaders, liaison officers, technical subject matter experts located at state emergency operations centers and other key local and critical nodes throughout the area. In terms of dam and levee safety, currently we're assessing potential impacts to the 29 flood risk projects.
You've been listening to an update from FEMA headquarters on Hurricane Michael. It's expected to make landfall just a couple hours from now. You just heard Brock Long, the FEMA director, call this the hurricane of the worst kind, unfortunately. He said this is final call for anyone who still needs to get out. We're doing everything we can, but all we can do is hope for the best. The window to evacuate has come to a close. John Scott joining me right now. NOAA just gave an update as well, John. Category 4 storm, 145-mile-per-hour winds is what we're looking at right now. He said, very importantly, don't just focus on the core of this storm, 200-mile wind spread. This is a wake-up call, as you heard from Brock Long, to Georgia citizens. This could be the worst storm, he said, that state has ever seen.
A lot of people inland tend to think that hurricanes are coastal events, but they are not. This is going to be a Category 4 storm, an immensely powerful hurricane. I've been in one Cat 5 and a couple of Category 4s, and I can echo what Brock Long said. He said those who stick around to experience storm surge don't live to tell about it, typically. 14 feet of water suddenly piling up, not only on the beaches, but well inland. That's what they're going to be experiencing in the Destin area of Florida, the Panhandle, but much beyond that area as well. And the rainfall and wind into the corner of Alabama and on into Georgia, that is going to be absolutely fierce. Power lines are going to be falling. Trees are going to be coming down. It's going to be a terrifying time for people who have not evacuated.
Joining us now by phone, Brenda Holt, the commissioner of Gadsden County, where mandatory evacuations are in effect, and of course states of emergencies for 3 states, Florida, Alabama, as well as Georgia. But Brenda, what can you tell us about what you are seeing there? And of course, that county is located in the Panhandle.
Well, we have 3 evacuation centers, and we are trying to get people in there now. There's gusty winds outside. It's raining, and trees are beginning to sway in the winds, and we're trying to get people to evacuate as soon as possible or move to the shelters away from mobile homes.
Brenda, are you getting the sense that people, the residents of your county, are heeding these warnings?
Some of them are. One gentleman, he was out in his yard, an elderly gentleman, and I passed him, and I went back to get him to get inside. He looked like the home looked pretty sturdy, and it was not. There were not any trees around, but he was just out. He wanted to see what the weather looked like, so I was able to get him back into the house and try to get him to go to a shelter, but he refused to go.
A lot of people.
So I just, urged him to stay inside, and we moved 2 families probably about an hour ago and got them set up. I had just bought a generator for myself, and I just donated it until this is over.
People in your part of Florida have never seen a hurricane like this, have they?
No, we have not. Hurricane Kate was about the roughest hurricane we had seen back in the 80s. But now what we're saying right now is it seems to be a devastating storm coming towards us. And we were really worried about flooding and tornadoes and getting people to high ground.
Yeah.
Brenda Holt, Commissioner of Gadsden County, Florida. You are in this storm's path. Our prayers are with your residents and you, Brenda. Be safe.
Well, I can barely hear you. I don't know if it's a connection or the weather, but I did not hear your statement.
We wish you the best.
Could be the howl of the wind outside.
Thank
Brenda.
you so much, and please call back and check on us. We have gotten great assistance from the state so far.
Yeah.
We have additional 500 people that's going to assist with the electric company. We have 10 additional ambulances, fire trucks, 50 police officers, in addition to what we already have. So we're just asking everyone, if they're going to shelters, get in the shelters or evacuate now, but we're going to need them off the street pretty soon.
Brenda Holt. Brenda, thank you, and our thoughts and prayers will be with you and your community. Thanks.
Thank you so much. You take care.
So her residents are among the thousands ordered to evacuate the Gulf Coast as this monster Cat 4 hurricane approaches. 145-mile-an-hour winds on their way and up to 13 feet of storm surge. Senator Marco